Right, good morning. Thanks very much for giving us your time today. I'm Steve Parkinson, MD for Bauer Radio in London, responsible for Kiss, Magic, Planet Rock and various other initiatives, content sharing, cross promotion and so on that we might cover a bit today. 60 seconds on the team here today. We have got, in no particular order, Ric Blaxill on the end there, who's Music and Content Director for all of our stations, so he's our sort of main interface with our record labels. He does lots of other things. He's currently running Planet Rock at the moment, bringing that into the Bauer family. He also helps set up 8 arena events across the year. We do 8 summertime balls. That's one myth we might break today. We do an awful lot of events around the country. In terms of claim to fames and so on, well, first of all, Ric was executive producer of Top of the Pops at this time. There might be a few questions about his time at Top of the Pops. He even reached the dizzy heights of being name checked in Ant and Dec's autobiography, Ooh, What a Lovely Pair, so we might ask him what that was. Dave Young in the blue shirt. Dave Young is Programme Director for Box TV, which is a joint venture between Channel 4 and Bauer Media. He runs a network of 7 quality music channels. That's what he wrote, he'll tell you why. What's that?
Yes, quality is the
quality, okay. Yeah, he wrote this. Dave's claim to fame is that he once performed at Glastonbury, but it was 11 o'clock in the morning to a crowd of 25, and one of them was a dog, so that's
the dog loved it.
Lucie Cave, the smallest person in Bauer Media, during her 10 years. During her 10 years at Heat and progression to editor-in-chief of the Heat brand, Lucie is also famed for her range of exploits. All in the name of Heat, of course. She was Simon Cowell's most diminutive bodyguard.
Really effective bodyguard.
She avoided all the Bush Tucker trials somehow when she was in Australia doing interviews for I'm a Celebrity, and she also co-wrote an episode of Hollyoaks. They'll let anybody write Hollyoaks these days. all in a day's work at Heat Towers. And Rickie and Melvin, last but not least, the faces and voices of Kiss, currently also on BBC 3 with Grimmy. We'll find out how they get on with their competition. They are Sony Award winners. Now, he's the smooth one and he's the joker, if you've seen the TV ad. Or also, Rickie ends up with the girls, and if we get time, normally Melvin ends up naked outside hotel doors, locked out.
If you're lucky, lady.
So we might
That's what I'm here for. Just for the phone number.
Yeah, who is it in the room that was tweeting them yesterday when we were coming over?
Feel free to put your hand up if you were tweeting us yesterday. And I'll expose you later on. We'll take questions.
Nobody's going to admit it. Right, so we'll get to hopefully some of those stories behind the facts and figures. First of all, just 60 seconds on Bauer Media Group. Bauer Media Group publishes or broadcasts to 200 million consumers now across the year. That's, I need my glasses on now, 17 countries worldwide and 570 brands globally, which is the first time that we've actually come out and said that, because normally we've been quite territorial by country. In the UK, of course, Bauer's got 53 magazines, 43 radio stations and 7 quality music TV channels. We're going through quite a major evolution right now. We are becoming less about brands and platforms, which is maybe historically where EMAP and Bauer was, and much more about audience first, closely followed by content. So we have sort of changed our company right the way around, and we're going through quite a change, which we might cover a little bit today. So just some of the changes, even the last couple of weeks, include our insight teams. We used to have a magazines team, a TV team, a radio team. We've now amalgamated all of those insight teams into one, so we have now one audience insight team. That's already happened. We've created a new content hub with Jo Parkinson, joining us from Global. She's come in as our entertainment and lifestyle editor, building a new content management system so that all of our content from all of our brands we can share, first of all in the UK, but then perhaps even around the world. So there's a lot going on in the background. We haven't forgotten platforms either. We've just taken Mark Hardy from Psycho, or rather he offered to come, we didn't just nab him. But he's joined us from Psycho as our new digital media director. So really making quite a lot of changes in many parts of the company. So we'll come back to that one in a minute. It's a bit of a sneaky peek. Quite a lot of change. We're going to try and cover ambitions, myths and frustrations of the Bauer team as we've gone about these changes. And in the kind of today programme style, we're just going to zoom through as many as possible. So we're going to start with Lucie. She was looking the other way. Morning.
Hello.
Let's start with a myth about heat. What's probably the biggest myth about heat?
I guess one of the myths about heat is that if people call us a titillating celeb mag like some of the other celeb mags on the market, you know, we're not like the other celebrity magazines. We are at our core about entertainment and fun. Heat is good for you ultimately. Our entertainment section is extremely credible, and we've got a wealth of kind of influential and loyal celebrities who themselves kind of credit us for some of their success. So you've got Ricky Gervais, who credits Boyd Hilton for part of the success of The Office. We'll get celebrities like David Williams dressing up for us, and he phoned us up and asked us if he could dress up as One Direction for us.
Can we show that? There we go.
We've
Let's
got
see
there,
it.
him dressed as One Direction, and we'll get in there and create celebrities like Tom Daly, who will still do stuff for us, and they won't do anything for any of the other celebrity magazines. James Corden credits us for part of the success of Gavin and Stacey, and in return, he dressed up in that infamous picture of David Beckham. They are socks down his pants there. And Lily Allen, when we create a lot of funny celebrity pictures in the magazine, and we created a picture of her and her husband, well, before she got married, on the farm, and she actually used that picture as her wedding invitation. So there are a lot of the celebrities are on our side. And when I was in front of Lord Justice Leveson, he did admit it was a very different sort of journal to the other magazines.
What was the story about Gavin and Stacey? Did that not sort of somehow come out of a heat discussion?
I think it did. I think Boyd gets called in quite a lot to kind of talk to TV producers and talk about kind of ideas that we're banding about in the Heat team and who we're after and what we're into. So yeah, it was partly born from that, I believe. Yes.
And obviously, it was just a magazine first of all, but obviously, audiences move up, move on, they grow up, platforms sort of fragment and expand. So what has Heat done to try and stay relevant?
Well, I mean, my role's changed for a start, so I'm now editor-in-chief across the brand, and it is all about the brand and the content journey across all of our platforms. So we've now got Heat TV, which is produced by Box Television. We've got Heat Radio. We broadcast live from the office every day, so it means that we're using our wealth of experts dipping in and out when there's a news story breaking. And of course, we've got the website and social media, so the growth of social media is huge for us. And if you want to get your brand trending on Twitter, then come and talk to Heat. We can get anything trending, literally. So we use that across all of our content. So we interviewed Ollie Murs in the magazine. Most of the interview was about the size of little Ollie, and we managed to get hashtag 13 centimetres trending on Twitter, and then that was discussed in Extra Factor for 2 weeks in a row. And also we've launched, we've had the awards yesterday that were released for Heat's Twitter Awards, which was a new campaign for us, which ran across 4 weeks, and the engagement of that has been huge. We've had celebrities like Harry Styles retweeting videos that we've produced. We've created our own kind of short form TV show where I've been going out giving the awards to people like Alan Carr, and we've had over 2 million people using the hashtag Heat tweets. So that shows the kind of the power of the Heat brand.
So if it's on magazine, radio, online and TV now, all good for consumers, but what are you doing differently for advertisers to try and bring all of that together? Can they all be brought together, all of those platforms?
Yeah, we've had some really kind of interesting projects that we've worked on. One last year, which was with myself and Lucy Banks, who's our kind of executive creative director, I'm sure a lot of you will know. And we worked on a partnership with Channel 4, so we wanted an innovation pitch for them to, through their marketing team actually, to create a noisy new platform to kind of shout about some of their 3 hero shows. And we used our knowledge of the emerging behaviours of dual screen viewing to create Heat 4, which was a kind of mini show within the shows like Hollyoaks and Midnight Beast, that was hosted on the Heat World website and also hosted on E4. So we were kind of using dual screen behaviour to enhance the engagement of linear TV, and actually that really increased the viewing figures each night we did it, and again we got it trending on Twitter. And we've just embarked on a new kind of venture we're calling Heat Live, which has got a lot of opportunities for commercial partners. So at the National Television Awards, I was live on the red carpet. We streamed it on Heat World, and so there was kind of like an hour's viewing. People were incredibly engaged. We're doing it again at the television BAFTAs, so we're hosting it all on Heat World, and YouTube are pushing it as a big event. So there's a lot of opportunities there. We're talking to different kind of film companies about whether we can do Heat Live from premieres. There's opportunities for kind of beauty and style brands, because obviously the kind of red carpet celebrity access is all about getting ready beforehand and kind of what you look like the next day as well. So yeah, there are a lot of, I don't know. So yeah, so there's a lot of opportunities there. So it's really exciting stuff that we can be doing.
Almost everything that we do on Heat is any kind of significant initiative is across all platforms, and the content's delivered in very different ways as well. So it's not just replicating the same story; it's all interpreted in different ways, and I think that makes up for a really interesting whole. You know, it's a synergistic whole, and there's a lot of cross promotion in between all of those as well. Kind of part of the reason that we do it is to talk about the other platforms, and I guess if a brand is involved in that crosstalk, then it gets pretty exciting.
And we started in January. We created Hot List together, which there was a franchise in the magazine, which is kind of the 8 to 10 things that we're most obsessed with this week. Now we've got an hour show that goes out on Heat TV, and it goes out on 4Music as well, and we've got a 2-hour radio show called Hot List, but they're all very different types of content under the same franchise.
We did one of the sexiest brands we've worked with was Veet, and Veet came with quite a lot of money and said, okay, we want to work across a number of platforms. So we thought, okay, how do we take female leg shaving products and make that sort of sexy for our audience? But from memory, we got that across Kiss, Heat, and I think 4Music or Kiss TV, and we turned it into red carpet reporting events. And you know, ladies in the room will know you want your legs to be looking good for any red carpet event. So we managed to turn it around into something that the consumers quite liked from memory.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Well, thank you for that. In the meantime, Rick, let's turn to you. So myths, first of all. Radio is in pretty rude health.
Yeah.
But do you want to just talk for a little bit about whether the Spotify's and streaming and everything else that's trying to copy radio or to go to the next stage of radio, whether that ultimately will kill that medium?
Yeah, I mean, radio listening is really healthy, and it has been for a number of years. 90% of the population of the UK are listening to radio every week, and that's been a consistent figure where other media platforms have varied quite a lot. And I think the reason for that being is the radio we create is alive, it's breathing, it's interactive, it's visualising content more, it's creating more touch points through apps and online and through social media. And it's also very intimate, and it can be very personal, and it can be really trusted. And I think when you compare that to all the streaming services that are on offer, such as Spotify or Last.fm or We7, all of those things are part of a musical journey. And we're finding that they actually complement the experience that radio listening can offer. If you're on a discovery yourself and you want to look for new music, you might well go to one of those streaming services. And we find that if people do discover something, and radio is offering a lot of new music, if they hear it on radio, they might then hear it on a streaming service, and then they'll make the purchase. So the streaming service isn't the route to purchase for a lot of people in discovering new music. It's still radio, and it's to do with a kind of trusted guide. It's to do with the kind of cultural excellence that radio can deliver to a specific audience. And if you're just listening to music all the time with no interaction, it can become very impersonal. So we found that radio and the streaming services really do complement each other really well.
So when you speak to the music labels, do they still have a strong, whether it's the BBC, Global or Bauer, do they still have a strong relationship with us as radio, or have they moved on?
I'd say the relationship between the music industry and all the CEOs and MDs and even artists that I talk to is incredibly strong. And one of the reasons for that is, if you go back in time, the big shop windows for the music industry on terrestrial TV, such as Top of the Pops, such as CD UK, such as The Chart Show, have disappeared. And they were mainstream shows with big audiences, millions of people watching. So the shop window for the record industry advertising their product, which is the artist, has gone completely. So the way that most people now will experience new music is through radio. So the message we're getting back from the record companies, actually the relationship between the music industry and radio is even stronger. And we know that we need to work with the record companies to keep that relationship going, because we need to bring new talent through onto the air, new music through onto the air. Otherwise you're just working with a kind of dwindling supply of top quality artists. And we need to be part, really, of the evolving A&R process of the music industry. And A&R is their research 26% of global music revenue is put back into the business to discover new talent. So that's a quarter of money earned by the music industry around the world is going into research, which is A&R. So we need to be part of that ecosystem in helping support this new music to come through. Otherwise there'll be a dwindling supply of stars in the future.
And do you think our brands, you know, whether it's Kiss, Kerrang, Place Portfolio, are our brands doing enough for new music?
Yeah, we are. I mean, there are some examples where across our Place Portfolio stations, which is, again, it's an interesting way Bauer approach radio. It means that we can communicate and connect locally with people around the UK with our Place Portfolio stations, local radio stations creating great local content for their communities. And our other portfolio is the Passion Portfolio, which Kiss is a part of and Planet Rock is a part of and Heat is a part of. And that's all about lifestyle, and locality isn't so important to those listeners. But I think what we're trying to do is when we're working with the music industry and trying to bring all this music together, we can work at it on two different levels.
Okay. And final question on music, given that that's such a big part of people's life experiences and what they demand from radio, TV, a lot of our brands. What's the biggest myth you think is about Bauer? I mentioned, you know, you get through about eight major arena events a year and others, but do you want to just talk a little bit about what's the range of our events, and actually how do you fill them all, given that this pool seems to be getting smaller with artists?
Well, I mean, the myths about Bauer, I mean, we can talk about the events. The other one is how strong Bauer is. Bauer stations are in breaking new talent as well. And there's an artist that is Emily Sandé now is ubiquitous. She's absolutely everywhere. But there was only one radio group that supported Emily Sandé from all of her 3 singles, 8 or 9 weeks up front. Well, other radio groups can look at things, and when they're tried and tested, they can absolutely go for them, and that's part of the plan as well. But in terms of bringing an artist to the attention of a radio audience, certainly with Emily Sandé, Bauer played a really important part of that. And that then links into the events we run around the country. We run 8 arena events at various parts of the UK. All these events are 12 or 14,000 people in terms of attendance. They sell out really quickly, and they are wonderful experiences. We broadcast live from backstage. TV are involved in some of these events sometimes as well, as are both national and local sponsors. But we need to really engage with the record company, because it costs a lot of money for an artist to be put on at an event. So we need to work with them to support the artists that we want at our events, to make sure it's an equal footing. And what we've found is, by working closely with the labels in London and then working closely with the labels around the UK, we're actually getting really good bills lined up. So they will be, last year for example, One Direction did nothing at all except Bauer events. And we achieved that because we continued to play One Direction when other people weren't supporting them at a critical time in their development as artists. So we were able to share One Direction with millions of Bauer listeners around the country. They did nothing except our events, so that gave us a real coup, helped us sell tickets, and really created a real buzz in all the cities where these events were taking part. The other way we connect with artists is, when the artist is right, we can roll out the Rolls Royce of joining everything up that Bauer's got and deliver a massive audience to help support an artist and bring great artists to many of our listeners. And recent projects that we've done have involved Rihanna and Coldplay. And these artists want to work with us because we'll give dedicated time to creating content. So for example, when we work with Coldplay, we got exclusive time with the band. We dedicated an hour of programming to them through an interview which went across all of our radio stations. We joined everything up. Then we broadcast their concert. So listeners have the chance to experience a great Coldplay concert, and that was sold out really quickly, but we were able to bring that experience to our listeners through radio. And then after that, we did some storytelling. So you've had the interview with the band, and then you've had the live concert, and then we just threw the airways open to tell us your stories about Coldplay, where the gig or any of the songs special to you. And on the surface, you'll go, well, how the hell is that going to work? But Coldplay and music is so passionate to people, it connects way beyond the songs. So we're getting very emotional storytelling from listeners about how they experienced Coldplay and what the songs meant to them. And we did the same with Rihanna. So when Bauer joins everything up, it's really, really powerful to sit down with Coldplay and their management and say, we can offer you this scale of audience and dedicate a whole evening's programme to you, is really, really powerful.
So I'm going to ask one more question now, sorry, then we will move on. But you talked about a lot of different stuff that Bauer does, but for any planners, buyers or advertisers in the room, are there ways that they can be part of those experiences?
Absolutely. I mean, we try and plan these things well in advance. If you're dealing with artists like Rihanna and you're dealing with artists like Coldplay, their schedules are booked up like a year in advance. So we have to start conversations on this stuff really, really early. So we can help bring any planners or anyone who wants to work with us into these events at a really early stage. So it's just about communication and having conversations, because we really think we can enhance everything that we do. And if it's working with sponsors, then it can enhance it even more.
And I guess if Karen, Stacey or Derek or one of the commercial team were up here, we'd probably be saying, as we're turning the company around into a content-led team, as we join up forces, we need to be making sure that you guys know what we're doing early enough as well.
Yeah.
I think sometimes there is criticism that sometimes you find out too late to be able to then talk to a commercial partner.
But some of the good conversations I've had with labels is when there is a tour sponsor or with a particular artist, clearly that being a tour sponsor gets you in front of a lot of people at those events, but that sponsor might then want to spend some of that money on radio, where we can amplify it to even more people. So the awareness of whoever the sponsor is goes way beyond the core fans of that particular artist. We can take it out to a whole new audience.
Okay, thanks, Rick. Right, turn to TV. So 7 quality music channels, hidden away sometimes behind Bauer's big headlines. What's the buzz? What's something new that's going on with what appears to be sort of linear TV channels? Is there something new going on?
I think in terms of what we're really excited about at Box TV at the moment, I think one is being here. It's really nice to have the chance to talk to you. It's really good also being with the likes of Lucie and Rickie and Melvin, who are on our channels, and it indicates just how linked up we are across the platforms now. These guys are presenters on our channels. We kind of take their radio shows and bring them to TV in really inventive ways that I think are very engaging and continue to kind of deliver the music which we know our viewers really, really enjoy. The thing that's really also very much exciting for TV at the moment is the way that the TV experience is changing, and Box is very much involved in that. So sometimes, the accusation, if you like, or the myth might be that linear TV is on its way out. What you see actually is, I think, what might unite this room, in fact, in some ways, is maybe in the last 24 hours, apart from sleeping and eating, I would imagine that everybody here has sat down and dedicated a fair bit of concentration towards the TV, actually. So we love our TV. We watch TV on bigger TVs than ever. They're sort of like 2-3 times the size they were 5 years ago. You probably have 3-4 times the amount of channels available that you had 5-10 years ago. And in fact, I think we love TV more than ever right now. We dedicate over 4 hours a day to TV on average across all individuals in the UK. What is changing though is the way that we are consuming it, and we're consuming it on different devices, and we're consuming it at different times. So it's linear delivery, there's catch up, there's on demand. There is completely bespoke content available through the likes of Netflix, for example, who are now kind of commissioning their own TV. So it's not just second run or catch up; it's premieres. And of course, there's user-generated content going on too, of course, through YouTube notably. But more and more people getting involved in and allowing their consumers to construct the content with them.
So to push it, so we've obviously got TVs this big down to the TV screen being on your mobile. But what's a KISS or a Heat or a 4Music doing for if consumers are watching more and more on the go? What's changing?
So certainly what is really exciting for us right now, we spent quite a bit of time working on our online delivery. So I'd say in some ways last year for Box TV was characterised a lot by the development of 4music.com as a website, and there's a lot more video served up there. We've spent a lot of time recently building up our YouTube site, and it's all about distribution now for us. So distribution in many new different ways, both internationally actually. So we've got a kind of a nice little piece of international growth going on, where we're just serving our channels to different territories, kind of adding on small deal. And then within the UK, like I say, we just spent quite a bit of time working on our online. We've just actually in April this year gone free to air. So we now have a bigger footprint on Sky, bigger footprint on Virgin. We're now available on satellite, FreeSat. And then this also allows us, in fact, to take all of our channels online. So this is the kind of exclusive, if you like, coming up within the next few days. About to launch all 7 of the Box TV channels streaming through 4music.com on a player. And then that itself will be extended to other Bauer sites, and in fact I think very soon also going through the KISS app, which has just been re-released this week or relaunched this week. We're hoping to get onto the Heat app too. So it's a really, really exciting time in terms of distribution. It's kind of more complex, but I think we're able to deliver solutions which address that complexity, and you can kind of we can look at content, we can work it in different ways according to the platform.
So I suppose at the beginning I was talking about we're trying to be more audience-led, and if young consumers are using their mobiles more, obviously, then we're catching up fast with a lot of our contractual arrangements with the likes of Sky and so on to get our brands onto the platforms that they should be. So you mentioned KISS and the app. So Rickie and Melvin. So there was big news last week, obviously, about KISS.
Yeah.
Do you want to just talk about the 2 brands first of all? So extensions to KISS coming now.
Of course, Steve, no problem. After you, Ricky.
So everybody that listens to KISS knows about KISS Street, so we decided to go in public domain and launch an actual station just specifically for KISS Street. So there's like unlimited 24 hours access to KISS Street online on Freeview, channel 714 by the way, and obviously the KISS Cube app, which is brand new, the new rehashed version. You can listen to it on there as well, right?
Yeah, the second station which we're really excited about is called KISS Fresh, which is all about new music, new beats. We've also got DJ mixes on there. You can download both of those stations using the KISS Cube app online at kissfmuk.com, so check that out. Put those on your phones. They're great stations, but if you like a bit of both, stick with us on Kiss FM UK, like your radios, which is also great.
What an ad. Yeah, I mean the main story there is KISS Street. It gets about 1.5 million listeners a week to the feature. So we reckon by giving a lot of people KISS Street 24/7 on Freeview and the new app. Great. KISS Fresh almost is at the other end for the younger, cooler, more specialist side. So I think the kind of extending the offer is good, because KISS itself in 60 minutes just can't do everything that consumers are demanding. So there's a bigger story, I think, to roll out, hopefully onto DAB eventually. So it's kind of first chapter now. Now obviously you're the front guys for KISS, breakfast show presenters for about
5 years.
When you're thinking of the relationships with your listeners, now careful, when you're talking to listeners through whether it's Instagram, Facebook, on Facebook and so on, how do you go about if KISS is all about being personal with all of those consumers, how personal do you get with them? I'm straying into this, but there's so many channels. How do you go about being individual?
I think our boss Andy always kind of said to us, it's all about being touchable. So with our show, especially the breakfast show, we're kind of run across so many different mediums. So we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on text, we're on Instagram, on BBM, on Snapchat. If there's a young person listening, I'm on Snapchat. He's not there yet. But if you're a young person listening to the show and you want to get in contact with KISS Breakfast, you can do it, and it all happens simultaneously. Ricky deals with the Twitter, I look after Facebook, Charlie looks after BBM and text and the phones, because she does more work than us. But that all happens, and I think it's all about connecting with our audience instantly. And that
I think one of the main things is as well, we use all the things that our audience use anyway, so we're going to be on there anyway, so they'll come and find us on our personal pages, and we just direct them back to the KISS pages anyway, so we're just chatting the same language as them basically. And getting their numbers.
No, remember you said that you wouldn't say that. And what about influence? Bauer talks a lot about how we influence consumers to take action, to do things, whether that's buy something or to go to a concert or to take part in something on air. In terms of influence, we're speaking about the day after the riots and so on. Just talk a little bit about how KISS was sort of bang in the middle of an influencing.
Yeah, it was quite a difficult one to talk about with the London riots, because the media were kind of blaming BlackBerry, which was a massive client for us. Yeah. So for us, we kind of left it to the young people to discuss, because a lot of the time they were saying, look, young people, this is the cause for it. It's also because of BlackBerry is such a secure form of communication. But we literally just opened the phone lines and said, look, why do you think this is happening? All these young people were saying, look, this is happening because there's nothing for us to do. We're doing our degrees, we can't find work, we're broke, so this is what's happening. So we let the young people speak.
Yeah, and on the flip side, you had the police contacting us or contacting our boss, asking us how to talk to the young people, because we knew how to talk to them with regards to using BlackBerries and kind of like we spoke their language. So it was like kind of like a double-edged sword sort of thing, wasn't it? So,
yeah, it was quite a day when the Met Police are calling Andy and I up going, how should we talk to young London because we're
How do
losing
we
the
do
battle?
our job?
Yeah. That was a day, but fantastic they come to one of our brands. I suppose that's influence. Passing it over to Lucie, Dave, Rick. In terms of influence, how else does Bauer go about influencing consumers to do stuff?
I mean, you talked a little bit about music earlier, and I think Rick was very eloquent about radio. I mean, TV is very much a part of that, and I think together we we commit a lot of energy and resource towards bringing new music to the fore. And you said, kind of, do we get the ear of the music industry? We had a good example recently where we wanted to go to the States actually to talk to the labels there about access to artists, about development, and just actually to kind of soak up the picture of what's going on in the industry in the States. And I think, within less than a week we had booked meetings with kind of effectively the three most powerful people in the music industry. Two of them English actually, Lucie Cave, who's the boss of Universal, Rob Stringer at Sony. Incredible, interesting people. You're sort of 50 floors up overlooking Central Park, and you're getting their ear in terms of what's going on in music. But all of those people, they gave us time very, very quickly. It's almost impossible to get to them, and they are incredibly appreciative and knowledgeable, in fact, about the job that we do in influencing people around introducing new music, particularly. Obviously, it's a big part of their future. And I think they were really complimentary actually about the way that we do it too. So some stations are very reticent to take a risk on new music because quite often it will switch people off unless you position it properly. Other kind of outlets can be kind of too reckless. They're kind of sort of like desperately seeking for something new and sort of throwing it out there and not really caring about whether it's going to hit or miss. And I think Bauer sits somewhere in the middle, really trying to nurture talent and introduce it carefully to audiences.
Okay. Sorry. Thanks. Okay, so I'm aware there's just a few minutes to go. Just in terms of, we obviously get access to a lot of talent. First of all, so in terms of frontline guys, quick story on any salacious gossip. Who are the biggest pains in the arse as talent?
Timberland's a nightmare. He mumbles when he gives answers to questions.
Who does?
Timberland, the producer. I think the interview that I was really scared about was we did an interview with Jamie Foxx in a hotel, so I was really excited about it. I'm a big fan, Rickie's a big fan of Jamie Foxx. Started the interview, we're recording on these recording machines.
No, you were recording.
Okay, I was recording on this recording machine, and he's doing impressions, doing jokes. He even sung in this interview, and I looked down and I forgot to press record.
Did you ask him to do it all again?
The thing is, I was so scared, I let him finish the interview, and then when we walked out, I said to Ricky, we haven't got any of that. But he was so cool about it. He was like, don't worry, Melv. He probably said you're a wanker once before. He was like, don't worry, Melv, it'll be cool. Went back to the studio, and our producer Adam was like, don't worry, I'll speak to the PR people and do it again. So we called him up again, and he was like, cool, no problem. We went back and he was like, hey, why are you guys back here again? And we were like, oh, it was a technical fault, nothing to do with the first. So we just did it again, did exactly the same interview. So cool. So that was like one faux
I think
pas.
the best person that we've met, the best person to interview has got to be Will Smith. He just gets 100%. He does a bit of research before you get there. So you walk through the door, it's like, hey, Rickie and Melvin! Hey! He comes over and hugs you. He's a really nice guy to interview.
Cool. And Lucie, any
You want
embarrassing
gossip
heat
from me,
stories?
then? So Taylor Swift is apparently sent a picture
Pregnant.
of her. When she was going out with Harry, she sent a picture of her down there to Harry on the phone. And then Louis has been showing it around at parties. To people.
Serious?
My friends saw it.
Really?
Yeah. You need to-
I'll come to the office later on.
Yeah.
I'll come back around. Okay, well, we've got 2 or 3 minutes left, so we'll throw the floor open now. If you want to ask anybody any questions directly to them about the brands, about them, about Bauer.
Don't be shy, guys. Come on.
It's alright, feel free. It's an open forum. It's okay. You can ask Rickie about his top, it doesn't matter.
It's media, I'm afraid, no gossip and lazy questions. But now that you've launched History and Fresh, if we buy a KISS campaign, do we automatically get those as well, or do we have to pick those?
We can sort out some kind of deal. We can get like an African market. Oh, we can sort out a little something.
I'm going to leave it to Melvin. What both consumers and advertisers are asking for is just is the biggest access to the biggest number of our advertisers are anyway. So yes, so we're trying to we're on 4.5 million listeners a week to KISS FM UK. So we're aiming over the next couple of years to get that to 6 million plus. If you put all the touch points, we're heading over 8 million towards 9 million touch points. So that suddenly makes that brand not just a radio brand, but radio, TV, online events, apps, and all the rest of it. So wherever that brand should be for consumers is what we're trying to offer the advertiser. Yeah. Hello.
Where's Charlie?
She's doing a mix at the moment for her show.
Okay.
Yeah,
She's very busy, but she sends her love.
Sorry about that.
Especially.
Yeah, she's going to come, but the panel is going to get longer and longer, and we're going to be here till Friday. So she's in the studio. Anything else? Yes, final question.
A question for Rick, actually. It's interesting the point you made earlier on about streaming versus radio.
Yeah.
And in particular, I work on EMI, and we're kind of constantly surprised by the continued success of compilations.
Yeah.
And now it's as big as it ever has been. And it kind of seems to us sometimes, and just to pick up on the points you made, that a lot of people don't really want to go to pick music for themselves. They want people to recommend it and to kind of have it on in the background.
Yeah.
Do you think that's an important part of the radio programmer's job? Is just to kind of make that as easy as possible for them?
I think it is. There's a myriad ways you can discover new music, and sometimes if you've got a trusted guide helping you through that, it's really, really important. And I had this kind of theory in the back of my mind, and I took it to a kind of practical way of looking at it. We sometimes do music testing through auditorium research, which basically it's a room of people like this will play you montages of songs, and you have a handset and you turn it to the left if you don't like it, and you turn it to the right if you do like it. Programmers are sitting backstage watching a graphical illustration of what songs are tanking and what songs are working. So I thought, okay, all these songs, we're trying to find out the songs that people really like. So all of these songs in these pods are generally hits that you will know. I thought, okay, I'm going to get together 10 songs that have just come in on my desk that no one has heard. So I put them into a pod, edited all the choruses together, and played it out in the middle of all the familiar pods. And of course, everyone's there, it's gone like that. Don't know it, don't like it, what the hell is this? I then took the same pod and had a presenter introducing each of those songs and played it half an hour later to see what the reaction would be. And the reaction went the other way. It was the power of the presenter in introducing new music to someone. Even though it's the same set of songs they'd heard half an hour before, when you had a voice that you trusted telling you about the song and introducing it to you and giving you a little bit of information, the appreciation of the song just went exactly the other way. And that is why radio will always survive, and it will always work in a complementary way with the streaming services.
We do a lot of research every year, and actually radio and TV is still, I think, the second and third biggest recommender of music and is seen as that trusted medium.
It is. So YouGov just did a recent research, and 74% of people who discover new music do it through radio first, and then at 53% of people it's word of mouth. So radio is still really, really influential, and that's why, if there's a new song coming on the KISS Breakfast Show, these guys will sell it in, and the listeners will go with it because they trust those guys.
I mean,
I don't know why.
Do you know what? I don't know why either, but they do.
it's probably worth saying the top recommender is Friends. So it places TV and radio that high up in the sort of the trust bracket.
So we're in a good place, I think. So 3 things I'd sort of say maybe take away from today. So Bauer's got scale, which is great, but I think even more important is that we've got influence on what our consumers do and what they think, and we want to inspire them to do things. And also immersion, which we maybe haven't touched enough on today, and that is anybody from the panel or across Bauer, whether they're editors, producers, program directors, talent, our heads of different brands or platforms are all available to take part in planning sessions or advertiser presentations or immersion sessions, just really if they're going after a particular audience, either through our insight teams or any part of the talented parts of Bauer, we're happy to be part of workshops and presentations. So speak to the Bauer guys about that. We're kind of over time, and I knew we'd sort of have a lot to get in with quite a few people on the panel, but for now, please just thank everybody on the panel.